our entire hearts broken, demanding that Congress immediately call for a ceasefire and that Israel stops bombing Gaza. We are here as American Jews watching in horror as the Israeli government carries out a genocide against the Palestinian people in the name of Jewish safety and with the full support of the United States government. We are here in horror and we say no! 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 We say not in our name! We say not in our name! We say not in our name! We are here in horror that Jewish grief and Jewish pain and Jewish fear is being used and exploited to justify these atrocities, to justify this collective punishment. We say no, not in our name. Not in our name. We have been watching in horror as just yesterday the Israeli military bombed a hospital in Gaza. One of many hospitals that it has bombed, killing over 500 people, leaving so many more injured. Not in our name. We are watching in horror as just on Friday, 1.1 million Palestinians in Gaza were given 24 hours to evacuate with nowhere to go, only to be bombed as they fled, only to be rained down on with white phosphorus. Gaza is an open-air prison with more than 2.3 million people who are now trapped without food, without water, without electricity. We know what this is. This is genocide. And what do we say? What do we say? My name is Morgan Bassigas. I'm really honored to be with you all here today. We are here. Look around. This is the biggest protest in American history of Jews in solidarity with Palestinian freedom. In 48 hours, you all have dropped everything to come here because there is nothing more urgent than standing against genocide. This is not complicated. This is not complicated. And our government is funding and authorizing and supporting this nightmare, and we say loud and clear, no, not in our name. Not in our names. We are here as Jews and Friends Against Genocide. We have been here since Monday. Our friends at If Not Now organized a massive action in which all 13 entrances to the White House were blocked. We are here to demand an immediate ceasefire. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons. No more war! Ceasefire is what we're calling for! No more weapons! No more war! Ceasefire is what we're calling for! No more weapons! No more war! Ceasefire is what we're calling for! Not in our name! Not in our name! Not in our name! Palestinians have the right to live in freedom! The right to live in freedom! And the right to return home! Palestinians have the right to live in freedom, and the right to return home. Palestinians have the right to live in freedom, and the right to return home. We welcome you today, whoever you are, we welcome you. We are organizing this event as American Jews in solidarity with Palestinian freedom, but we welcome everyone because all of us are needed. All of us are needed to stop this genocide. And whatever you are coming with, whatever grief, whatever rage, whatever you are coming with, you are welcome here. And as people who come from ancestors who were targeted by genocide, we call on our ancestors to give us strength and clarity, and to tell us that there is no contradiction between any of our feelings and our commitment to stopping genocide. Our values as Jewish people and our history as Jewish people compel us to be here and stand on the right side of history. Not in our name. Not in our name. We want to send particular love to our Palestinian friends and siblings who are here with us today as you are watching an absolute horror at the nightmare that is unfolding in Gaza. We love you, we see you, we are so glad you are here. Before I bring up our speakers, as we continue to raise our collective voice to demand that Congress pass an immediate resolution for a ceasefire to stop this nightmare, to get Israel to stop bombing Gaza, we're going to take some action together. So please go ahead and take out your phones. Go ahead and take out your phones, and we are going to text the word ceasefire to 51905. We're going to text 51905, and we're going to text the word ceasefire. Texting 51905, we're going to text the word ceasefire, and that's going to give us updates throughout the day about how this action is unfolding. If you have any access needs or need a wheelchair, please contact AJ or Julia. Raise your hands over there, our accessibility team right there. Bathrooms, if people need bathrooms, let's give it up for our accessibility team right here. If people need bathrooms, there are bathrooms available at the Museum of the American Indian, right over there. If you see press, and we have spokespeople particularly dedicated to talk to the press to make sure we are getting this message. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Could I have that? Sorry. So if you were contacted by the press, please go ahead and raise your hand if you're a press spokesperson. Right over here, right over here. So please, press, go speak to these people. In pink hats, thank you. We're doing this together. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, we have a police liaison. Mike, raise your hand. We are asking that only Mike deal with the cops. We have a police liaison who is Mike. Only Mike is dealing with the cops. Same thing with counter-protesters. If you are on the safety team, please raise your hand if you're on the safety team. If we have any counter-protesters, the safety team will handle it, so let them handle it. Okay, before I bring up our first speaker, I just wanted to get us chanting one more time. Not in our name! Not in our name! Not in our name! Not in our name! No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. I am honored to bring up Rabbi Brant Rosen, the Rabbi of Tzedek, Chicago. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi Brant Rosen.
Hello everyone. Boy, this is beautiful. You all look so beautiful. We are so where we need to be right now. And I just want us all to just take a moment and breathe and bear in mind that we are absolutely where we need to be at this very moment. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for being community for one another. There are so many people who have come so far in such a short amount of time to mobilize for what is one of the most consequential moral moments that any of us will experience in our lifetimes. In Jewish tradition, one of the most sacrosanct mitzvot, or commandments, pieces of spiritual wisdom, is that every single human being is made in the divine image. That was actually what we read in the Torah last week, that God created humanity in the divine image. That means every single one of us are of infinite worth. And this was at the beginning of the Torah. This was before there were Israelites, before there were Canaanites, Amalekites, Moabites. There were no ites, there was just people. There was just one humanity. And that is why this is such a central precept. Every single individual is of infinite divine worth. And when we diminish the humanity of another person, when we commit bloodshed, we diminish the presence of God in the universe. And that is what is going on as we speak. In the name of the Jewish people, enabled by this country, there is genocide that is being done that is literally diminishing in unfathomable quantities of people, of humanity, the divine image in our world. And we are here to say, as we've heard said so eloquently before, we will not stand for this. Enough is enough. We know where we need to be, and that is right here, right now. We are here today to say in no uncertain terms, this is a moment of deep moral reckoning. The whole world is watching, and history will remember what we did or did not do in this moment. Did we act, or did we stand idly by while genocide was being committed in our name? Will we stand idly by to be used as a weapon of war, as a justification for the murder of children, of innocent people in Gaza? We are here despite our grief. We are here because of our grief. We are here because our grief demands it, to say without hesitation that expressing one's mourning by enabling genocidal rage against millions of people is a sacrilege. There is so much more to say, and there's so much more that we will be doing right in just a few moments and minutes and hours during the course of the day. We all know what it is that we need to do. The main thing I want to say is that I am so proud to be part of this community. I am so proud that so many of us came together in such a short amount of time, making sacrifices to be right here because we knew that this is where we need to be. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being community to one another. Please take care of one another during the course of the day and the days to come. And we will together bring an end to this genocide that is going on. We will bring a ceasefire. We will stand together with our Palestinian comrades and live to see the day of a just peace in Palestine. We will live to see a free Palestine for all who live between the river and the sea.
Will we stand idly by? No. Will we stand idly by? No. Will we stand idly by? No. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. I am honored to bring up Stephanie Fox, Executive Director of Jewish Voice for Peace.
Look around. No, really, do it. Look around. I know that you have been swimming in an ocean of grief and horror. Look around. You are not swimming alone. We are here, thousands and thousands of Jews and people of conscience, because we are grieving both Palestinian and Israeli loved ones, and understand that there is no contradiction in that grief. In fact, there's no other way. We belong to each other. The Israeli military, with the full backing of this Congress and President Biden, told 1.1 million people they had to flee in 24 hours in an open-air prison, and then bombed the only roads out. In our names, with our tax dollars, we refuse! The Israeli military, with the full backing of this Congress and President Biden, has cut the water, the fuel, the power. The people of Gaza are rationing water. Children get to drink a little bit first. We refuse. This is genocide. My beloved great-grandma Belle, may her memory bless our collective power, taught me that the worst thing about the Holocaust was that the world stood silently by while it happened. Palestinians in Gaza, hiding from the constant bombardment, are using the last few minutes of their cell phone battery life to tweet in English because they understand that we are watching and that it is our government that can stop this horror. To our Palestinian beloveds, we say, we will not look away. We will heed your call. You are not alone. We will fight for your children in the exact same way we will fight for ours. We belong to one another. We will do everything in our power to end this. To Congress and to President Biden, we say, cease fire now! Cease fire now! Cease fire now! Cease fire now! We are the largest protest of Jews in solidarity with Palestinians in history, and we will not rest. We will not let you rest until you stop funding and fueling genocide. Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now! 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 Let Gaza live! 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 I am honored to bring up our next speaker, climate activist and member of Jewish Voice for Peace Advisory Council, Naomi Klein. Please join me in welcoming Naomi Klein.
Thank you, Morgan. Thank you all for being here. I have never seen anything like this in my history. A sacred responsibility to engage with our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, our brothers and sisters, and try to save their souls, to keep them from indulging in this quest for bloody vengeance. We are here because we will not let our fears of anti-Semitism be manipulated in this way as cover for war crimes and colonial land grabs, and to foreclose on the possibility of a political solution, which will only come with an end to occupation, with an end to apartheid, with true Palestinian freedom and self-determination. We will not use the fact that many of our parents and grandparents and great-grandparents were refugees from genocide to justify making hundreds of thousands or even millions of new Palestinian refugees. These are not our leaders. Not in the Knesset with its so-called unity government, and not here in Congress, which reconvenes now in part in order to approve new money and new weapons to send to Israel for its genocidal attack on Palestinians. But there are some leaders back there, like Cori Bush, who sponsored that ceasefire resolution, who has total moral clarity. Like Rashida Tlaib. Rashida, we stand with you. And the list is growing, and we will not rest until we get many more endorsers for this ceasefire resolution. We have leaders too at JVP. I am so proud to have been a board member at JVP since they used to just have 3 people. 3 people, and they weren't all full-time. And now there are dozens. This movement is growing. Who saw the ad, the full-page ad in the New York Times? And we have leaders that, if not now, who have been on the streets night after night. There is a generational shift underway, you know? These politicians, they're scared because they're afraid that if they do the right thing, if they stand up for international law, they'll be accused of anti-Semitism. But we need to tell them there's a generational shift underway. We are watching them. Friends, these are the darkest days that I have ever experienced. The Israeli government, with the full support of every Western power in the world, announced an intent to commit genocide using Jewish fears of another genocide as the excuse. And now it is in the process of making good on that threat. That is what we must stop. That is what we are here to stop. That is what we will stop. There are so many more lives to save. We have, this phrase we keep hearing and we see it on banners, stand with Israel, right? That is code for silence. That is code for complicity. That is code for obedience, and it is not our duty as Jews. Our duty is to stand with humanity, to stand with Palestinians under ceaseless bombardment. That is our moral duty, and we will do it. And we will do more than that. We will join together and we will fight for justice and peace and coexistence. But right now, we are fighting for a ceasefire. Thank you.
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire
Keep it going!
Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Not in our name! Not in our name! Not in our name! Not in our name! I am honored to bring up our next speaker, playwright and feminist, and JVP Advisory Council member, V.
Hi everyone, it is so moving to see all of you today. I wrote this in my grief, in my horror at what is happening in Gaza as we speak. I grieve what is waiting in the desert, the preparation for slaughter, the grabbing of young boys and daughters. I grieve the unfolding, imploding, invisible years of occupation, apartheid stunted living less than rigid, stateless prison. I grieve the surprise. How could this happen? They must hate us. You weren't paying attention. I grieve that your grief is selective and precious and all your own. I grieve stolen lands. I grieve having no land to call my own. I grieve how one crater opens another. I grieve the disbelief of being hated this much. I grieve that one crime begets. I grieve the momentum of righteousness. I grieve the people who could mistake understanding for justifying. I grieve what won't be remembered. I grieve trauma unexplored. I grieve body. I grieve the grieved body, on verge of explosion, Palestinian bodies, Israeli bodies. I grieve all the blood spilled in arrogance. I grieve the horror that entered like shrapnel and never left. I grieve every olive tree captured, every checkpoint, every wall. I grieve I am an outcome and not a decision. Why don't you ask me who I am? Why don't you take an interest or a moment? I grieve that you don't believe I can feel your pain, so you make me feel it again and again. I grieve the body, my body, your body, our body, how trauma is so easily turned to sword. I grieve the licensing of revenge. I grieve all the grief that has not been hardened into bullets and bombs, hardened into finish them. I grieve how we don't pay attention until it's too late. I grieve how we blame victims and then gift their status as a booby prize. I grieve the making of victims into stone. I grieve the hardening, monstering making of the aggrieved. We can't let go. We can't go on. I grieve that the only way left is kill. I grieve the murdering of citizens and the ghastly predictability of war. War, war. I grieve anyone believing they are more. I grieve the children as targets, their stunned faces emerging from rubble and dust. I grieve children that are gone, gone before. I grieve the flap of righteous fury in my belly. I grieve the file of stored offenses, the secret dirty corner permanently haunched to prove my point. I grieve a wave coming, so chaotic it might take the whole world out, past breathing, past dying even. I grieve there are no directions now, how lost we are. I grieve our separation. I grieve our separation. I am torn in two. I grieve, tossed to wailing waters, arms flapping, arms reaching. We are reaching out to you. Our grief is the holy land where we meet.
No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. No more weapons, no more war. Ceasefire is what we're calling for. Palestinians have the right to live in freedom.
The right to live in freedom.
And the right to return home.
The right to return home.
Palestinians have the right to live in freedom.
The right to live in freedom.
And the right to return home.
And the right to return home.
Palestinians have the right to live in freedom.
The right to live in freedom.
And the right to return home.
And the right to return home.
I am honored to bring up our next speaker, Elena Stein, Director of National Organizing Strategy at Jewish Voice for Peace. Please join me in welcoming Elena Stein.
In what world have we allowed it to be okay that 2.2 million people live in an open-air prison? In what world have we allowed it to be okay that it's the most densely populated place on earth, that half of them are children, that 97% of the water is contaminated? In what world have we allowed it to be okay for there to be a 16-year blockade? Meaning medical supplies can't go in and out. Meaning people can't go in and out, not to go to the hospital, not to visit their family on the other side of the fence that keeps them penned in. In what world have we allowed it to be okay that the Israeli government can just periodically bomb them, killing entire families at once?
It's not okay.
And in what world have we allowed it to be okay, not just for this to happen, but for our government, right here, for our government to have funded this, to be fueling this, to be offering protection in every international institution? Biden is in Israel today. One day after they bombed the hospital and killed 500 with thousands injured. After they rained down white phosphorus on people as they are fleeing evacuation orders with nowhere to go. As they starve people. With thousands buried beneath the rubble. How did we get here? How did we let this happen? And who are we? We said never again. here, I am alive today because the day that my grandmother's entire family, her whole world was killed in a genocide, she just happened to be away. And I grew up understanding this, and the main question that I agonized over was the question of the bystanders. Where were they? Where were they? Why didn't they do every single thing they could have possibly done? But today, we have been scripted into the role of bystander. Because while Palestine may be far away, it is only possible with the funding, with the fueling, with the protection of this US government. And for those of us who are Jewish, they are doing it in our names under the moral cover of Jewish safety. We refuse! We refuse! We refuse! But here's the flip side of our complicity. It means we are not powerless because they are counting on us to stand by. And that means we have power. That means every single one of us here and every single person who is watching this now, we have power. And when we unite in numbers like this, when we bring in everyone in our lives, when we scale each other up, when we support each other, when we learn to work together, when we pick strategic objectives, when we organize, when we get organized, we have collective power. We will not stand idly by as a genocide is administered in our names. And we will not allow our grief, past and present, to be weaponized against our Palestinian siblings. So what will we do? We will mourn the dead, and we will fight like hell for the living. Will we fight like hell for the living? Will we fight like hell for the living? Will we fight like hell for the living? We will speak out more loudly than ever before. We will make Congress hear us. We will intervene in the media, the dehumanizing media narratives. We will make business unusual completely impossible until a ceasefire. And then until freedom. We will because we must. Because we will not be bystanders until Palestinians and all people are free. Thank you.
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Not in our names! Not in our names! Not in our names! Not in our names! Not.
But there are courageous voices here too. And right now I could not be more honored to introduce our next speaker, who is the only Palestinian American serving in Congress right now. Who stands up for what is right, time and time and time again, even when she is attacked, even when she is shouted down. She is one of our bold, brave leaders in Congress, and send her your love. Make it loud. I'm proud to introduce Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib.
wish all the Palestinian people would see this. I wish they can see that not all of America want them to die. That they are not disposable. They have a right to live. They didn't ask to be born in occupation. And so I just want to thank you on the bottom of my heart. The dehumanization has chipped at my soul, and I can't imagine what it's made so many other people feel. So you all being here to speak truth, because the warmongers are out, y'all. They are ready. They want to kill and not stop. It's pure insanity. I still remember the cry of Maya, who's being dragged out of that festival, crying for her father. But just like poor Shama in Gaza, who is number 1 in her scores. I don't know if you know anything about Palestinian culture, but it's a big deal that somebody from Gaza could score number 1 on her. You know, it's like the valedictorian for the whole Palestinian people. And both of them are victims. They're victims of the oppression, of the violence. They both deserve to live. I don't care what their faith is or their ethnicity. Maya didn't deserve to be targeted. Neither did Shama deserve to die. And that's the common humanity that we all have to remember, because they're trying to take it away from us. And we have to make sure it doesn't happen. Not on our watch. I'm going to be real with you all. My colleagues, many of them, I usually don't talk smack about them. No, I'm usually considerate because I don't like them policing me, so I don't police them. But as an American, not just as a member of the United States Congress, I am ashamed. I am ashamed that they're saying, not yet, maybe next week. Not yet, Rashida. Maybe in a couple of days. How many more have to die? All of us, you know, as we come together, and it doesn't matter our faith, of course, the American Jewish community in my district, and all of you here, I just know how much courage it's taken to speak up. But all of you as well, that you know you're being targeted, you're being gaslit. Some people are losing their jobs. Folks are getting events canceled. Literally their First Amendment right wiped away for standing up and saying that children deserve to live. It is pure, literally inhumane for my colleagues to allow that to continue and say nothing. You know, they continue to want me to believe everything that comes from our own country and from Israel under Netanyahu's extreme government. But how many times have we been lied to for mass weapons in Iraq? Lie. Oops, we didn't kill that American. Somebody else did. Lie. We know the truth because at the end, people are dying. Why can't we just agree on that? People are dying. So what is it justified if one does it or the other does it? It doesn't matter. They're dying. They're dead. No matter all of them now talking about humanitarian aid, great. But it's not going to bring the lives back. You're going to give millions of dollars back to Gaza to help children, for great. But then you're going to give billions to literally fuel the same violence, the psycho violence that's going to continue to happen. Do you know in the last 15 years, there have been 7 conflicts. I don't even like calling it that. 7 waves of just death in Gaza. 7 times. So when are we going to say as Americans enough? Because I truly believe this. I truly believe this in my heart. Americans want a ceasefire. They want it to stop. You know, when I first got elected,
Ceasefire!
Ramallah called me, and we had this moment. And she's like my little cousin, but now she's an adult. And she says to me, oh my God, we can't believe you got elected. And I said, yeah, I'm just like, whatever, I'm here, okay. But she says, you don't get it, Rashida. We really thought Americans hated us. Like the fact that you got elected, like she just even that, like, oh my God, so they don't, I said, no. The majority of Americans are literally against oppression. They're against occupation, they're against human rights violations. If you just tell them the truth, they will be on our side. So we have to speak the truth. I don't think we're ever going to be able to come back from this. And to my president, to our president, yes, he's still our, well, hold on. I want him to know, as a Palestinian American, is also somebody of Muslim faith, I'm not going to forget this. Yes. And I think a lot of people are not going to forget this. And it's not a threat. It isn't. They think we're joking. I mean, I think the White House and everyone thinks that we're just going to sit back and let this just continue to happen. No. The fact of the matter is, our lives are not safe with you or the forever impeached president. When are we going to feel safe? When are we going to stop funding continued literally oppression of indigenous communities? When are we going to say enough? It makes me so angry to have to say it, but I'm telling you, I'm talking to people that literally are like me in our political stance and all of these things. But what is starting to get really, really, really clear and very loud is that somehow many of us in this room, because of our political opinions, because maybe our faith is a certain faith, maybe because our ethnicity is a certain ethnicity, that somehow we're a country and in the world, it's like it doesn't even matter. And that's what's been really painful. It's this just continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital where children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry. I'm like, let them cry. And they're shaking, and some of you know this, they keep telling them no. President Biden, not all of America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing the vast majority just like this. And we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this. But all of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Wahiyat Allah, you are on the right side of history. You are. You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that? Stop it with trying to politicize this. One goal, save lives. That's it. Do everything you're supposed to do to make that happen. Stop with the bullshit. I love you all so much. So I can't stand up here before you very long, but I wanted to run even though my wheelchair is over there, but I said, forget the wheelchair, let me get up here with my sister, because you're giving me strength right now. We love you. But because I love you more, As I stand up here, not only in pain in my body, but in pain in my heart, in pain in my soul, but also my brain cannot comprehend what is happening right now. The fact that we have to continue to come together to ask for peace and justice and self-determination and love and humanity for actual human beings right now in 2023, I can't understand. But I'll say this. We shouldn't have to be here. I shouldn't have to care every moment about what's happening, not only to my sister and her family, but to your families, to you right here in the United States, to our Palestinian sisters and brothers and neighbors here and in Gaza. We shouldn't have to worry about your safety. We shouldn't have to worry about the harm that continues on and on. But I'll thank you for being here, for putting yourselves on the line. I know that it's not easy to do this. I know what it should, but also the one that has to stand up to speak about it. And so as you grieve the profound loss of life and the violence that has occurred, and as you each deal with the unimaginable trauma that comes with this horrific moment, a moment where you shouldn't even have to be out here, and it's breaking my soul, because there should be more people who don't look like you out here. Because you shouldn't have to fight this by yourself, but we thank our Jewish community for being out here saying, never again, not another. Standing on the principle of peace. Our country, our world, we know war. We know the death and destruction that war brings. We know how the impact of war goes beyond the war zone and it goes beyond the time zone. We know that choosing the path of war almost always ends up in regret, but we also know it's only regret for some and for so long. We know war, but seldom do we know true peace. And when we talk about peace, we talk about peace in increments. Oh, peace for this. Yes, everybody stand up for peace over here. We stand up for peace over there. But oh, no, not peace over here because of this thing. No, not peace over there because they look like, or they said, or they don't have, or they did this thing. But that changes today. We call peace. Today we demand to take the tougher course of humanity and peace over that easier path of hatred and violence that we so easily know. Today we demand consistency in our love and our respect for humanity, for all people, and all means all. If you look up all, it just means all. And we're saying all the people. All people. Today we demand that the world and our government don't turn a blind eye to the collective punishment against Palestinians that we are witnessing, even as we strongly condemn Hamas for the appalling and I cannot okay any loss of any life simply because the Lord looked down and saved mine. So I will say this. Even as we condemn the hurt that has already happened against our Israeli brothers and sisters. We demand an end to all violence, and we demand humanity for every single person, and we demand that they speak Palestine, that they speak Palestinians deserve self-determination. Palestinians deserve freedom. So we demand ceasefire now. Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
Ceasefire now. Ceasefire now.
And so let me tell you, this Monday, yes, this Monday, I, along with my sister, Congresswoman Tlaib and Congresswoman Summer Lee and Ayanna Pressley and Andre Carson and Nydia Velasquez and who else? Yes, who else? And Ilhan Omar, you know, John Bowman, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We introduced a ceasefire resolution that calls on the Biden administration to demand an immediate de-escalation and ceasefire in Israel-occupied Palestine. And to send humanitarian aid and assistance to the 2.2 million people under siege who are trapped in Gaza, and to save as many lives as possible. And the sad part is, when we say 2.2 million, we know that that number continues to subtract. Yes. Less than a week ago, only a handful of members of Congress dared to utter the word ceasefire. We were called by our administration repugnant. They called us disgraceful for pushing peace. But if you know the pain of oppression, if you know what it's like to not understand how you can walk outside of your home and be a threat just because you exist, and even when you're in your home, you are a threat because you exist, but because they don't understand that type of oppression. And as much as this hurts me, I don't understand your oppression, because I don't know what it's like to have bombs dropped on my family members' communities. I don't know what it's like to try to sleep through that and try to get away from that. And I hurt the way that I hurt, so I can't imagine what you go through. But they called us repugnant, and they called us disgraceful. But I tell you what, there is nothing repugnant and nothing disgraceful about saving lives. War is repugnant and war is disgraceful. And so we are right. And so on Monday, 11 more members joined us in the introduction of the Ceasefire Now resolution. Even today, we've had more to come out, such as Representative Barbara Lee. So the momentum is building. Our push for peace is working. You being on the street over the last 11 days is working. Don't stop the phone calls. Don't stop the emails. Don't stop the push. Violence, we know, will never bring peace. Violence only leads to more violence. And so together, you all, we must be bold. We must stand. We must stand on the side of humanity. We must stand on the side of justice. We must stand on the side of equality. We must stand on the side of self-determination. We must stand on the side of love. We must stand on the side of safety. And we must stand on the side of peace. And we must be willing to speak against war and violence and against our government's complicity in it. In this moment, and I said it, our government's complicity. So in this moment, we ask ourselves and we ask those around us, are you for war or against war? Are you for saving lives or are you against saving lives? The time to decide is now. Cease fire now. Cease fire now.